America's biggest trade partners are seeing red over US metal tariffs. China, Canada, and the European Union have announced counter tariffs on US goods, and they're dragging Washington to the International Arbiter for Trade Disputes. But US President Donald Trump says his government could hit back at the World Trade Organization itself.
WTO's treated the United States very badly, and I hope they change their ways. They have been treating us very badly for many, many years, and that's why we were at a big disadvantage with the WTO. And we're not planning anything now, but if they don't treat us properly, we will be doing something.
He's also taking aim at Chinese companies that want to operate in the US. State-owned telecom company China Mobile has been trying to get a license to offer telecommunications services between the US and other countries since 2011. But Washington says it poses increased risk to US law enforcement and national security interests, and its application should be rejected. The pressure may be working. Growth in Chinese exports to the US has slowed to 5.4% this year compared to 14% last year. Experts say resolving trade disputes through the WTO would ensure all countries continue to follow a uniform set of rules.
It does demonstrate that the WTO is the right venue within which to handle these sorts of disputes, and it does hopefully provide the background for a future political solution. One of the risks that we see if we move beyond a rules-based system such as the WTO is that outcomes are determined more by unpredictable politics and power dynamics rather than by the more predictable efficiency-based market solutions. And of course, that's bad for development.
But with President Trump insisting that the global trade body has treated the US unfairly, many believe Washington may not be willing to accept the WTO as its judge and jury. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Let's get more on this now with our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, in Paris. Hello there, Craig. Let's start with the China Mobile ban. What is so significant about the timing of this? Because this deal has been in the works since 2011.
As are. We have to stop thinking short term with all these numbers. The Chinese think long term. Everything China's doing right now orbits around one belt, one road. Saddle a poor country with massive debt, get licenses to operate in wealthy countries, seize the assets, such as China's 99-year lease on the ports in Sri Lanka, get a stronger foothold in a Western democracy, then all disputes only resolvable in Chinese-created courts. That is what the Chinese are doing. Donald Trump is trying to prevent that. Whether he's doing it the right way or not, well, that's another issue. But what Trump is acting like here is like old iron-headed old rat. You may remember him from your history books, William Jardine of Jardine Matheson, the Jardine Johnnies.
Yep.
He started the Opium War with China back in 1839 because the Chinese attempted to enforce their rules and regulations on his business. That is what we're seeing a mirror image of, nearly 200 years later.
It almost sounds like two conflicting brands of mercantilism coming up against one another.
As you put your finger on it. Trump, I'm told by people who are advising him, not politicians, but business folks, that his idea is to destabilize, make one belt, one road as costly and as difficult as possible for the Chinese to execute. Now, as you know, $1.3 trillion, one belt, one road, that's a lot of money. And how effective Trump can be at destabilizing that and making the world play by its rules. Here's the thing with the WTO, real simple. The WTO, in Trump's eye, is the same Chinese court that was adjudicating the Jardine Matheson stuff nearly 200 years ago. It is a foreign court. It is an alien legal system. Just because it doesn't say Chinese World Trade Organization doesn't mean that's how Trump looks at it.
Let me counter that, though, because for most of the life of the WTO, who has been the biggest champion of it? It's been the US.
Exactly. You know, Trump wants to narrow. Look, all of this money that we're talking about, all this concern, all this hair pulling. Look, Trump wants to narrow a trade imbalance that's still growing. You may see the numbers down. A lot of these orders, you know what front loading is? We need to tell our viewers about front loading. Front loading is when a company buys stuff ahead of time, fills their warehouses with a lot of stuff. American importers have been front loading Chinese goods for months and months and months. Their warehouses are filled up with this. And the statistics that we're getting, in my mind's eye, are completely unreliable. Why? 3 months ago, China started to suspend the publication of key trade data.
Right.
So everyone in this is guessing.
Right. Except China has released some interesting trade figures that its trade with the US today. Our latest figures show that exports to the US slowed sharply in the first half, but we've run out of time.
You don't believe that as they want to narrow a trade imbalance that's still growing.
Yes.
The trade imbalance is the key here. That trade imbalance is still growing.
We are going to have to leave it there. Plenty more to talk about next time. Craig Copetas in Paris. Thank you.